though is that they said Lakers in 5 and the Wolves won in 5. So I think that makes it feel 10 times better. That's like my only answer.
We didn't want to play the clip when Anthony called LeBron the GOAT? Wow.
Drew, did we sleep on Minnesota?
With good reason we slept on them because they went from 56 wins to 49. We thought they had a down year. Their second best player who was sitting up there, Randall, has a history of struggling in the playoffs. Congrats to Julius Randle. Him and Cat, and I don't want to get into Cat, he's the Knicks. He was great in this series. 22 a game, so he was great.
Defended well, defended LeBron well.
Played tough.
Yep.
Jaden McDaniels at times looked like a budding 3-and-D star. And he's the guy, as much as we talked about Julius struggling in the playoffs, look at McDaniels in the playoffs. And this is 27 games. It's not a small sample size. He improves, points only 2 a game, but look at the shooting percentage. From 35% to 43% on threes in the postseason, and he averaged 17 points in this series. So nobody would have foreseen that. And then, of course, we did overlook Rudy Gobert because Luka had such field days with him, famously having field days with him. And give Gobert credit, and again, we'll get to him later, but he showed up last night and got the last laugh. So I think we rightly thought the Lakers would win because Minnesota did not have a great regular season, and their second best player was like, he's not going to be that good in the playoffs, and they proved us wrong.
And it wasn't, one last point on the Lakers side of it, kind of in relation to the Minnesota side of it. Brew mentioned Lakers were great in the clutch, Minnesota was terrible, and then this series it flipped. Also, the Lakers had the second best record in the West at home, the second best record in the West against Western Conference opponents, second best record in the West against playoff opponents, second best to the 68-win juggernaut. So it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of like fraudulence in the Lakers' path to the 3 seed. They lost to bad teams a lot more than you would like. And so to me, there was good reason to think, well, games like last night, if Anthony Edwards struggles, where are the Timberwolves going to get their offense? And the answer was wherever they wanted to, wherever they needed to. And I think Minnesota deserves tremendous credit, and what also makes the Anthony Edwards like superstar ascension conversation a little more confusing is in the 2 signature victories of his career, he has been bad in both games.
Weird.
You think he was bad last night?
I think if you're 5 for 19 and 0 for 11. Yeah, no, okay.
0
so that's
for 11 from
0 for 11
is,
He missed shots.
Yeah, but
watching that game, and I get it, I'm not going to praise him like he was great.
Sure.
But when you watch that game,
he still had impact.
he wasn't bad. Yeah, he had an impact. He just missed shots.
But I guess my slight pushback on that would be he was getting to the rim so easily. He probably should have just made the decision to not take as many of those shots.
I agree with that.
And so, but Game 7 against Denver, he's 6 of 24. In that game, they win anyway. This game, he's 5 of 19, which is a testament to Chris Finch deserves credit. All the role players deserve credit. And the fact that a game that Naz Reid was the worst game he's played in the series, he's a good player. Julius got in early foul trouble. Jaden got in bad foul trouble and ended up fouling out. Ant plays poorly, and they still are felt in control and essentially leading almost the entirety of the game. It's a really, really impressive accomplishment.
Yeah, this was a team win, right? Sometimes we like to reduce these games and these wins to the superstars, understandably so. You know, someone like Ant is an absolute monster. But, like, make no mistake about it, man. There were plenty of games, plenty of rings won, where Kobe Bryant was not the guy, where Shaq was not the guy, where Steph Curry was not the guy, Kobe Bryant not the guy. It's not every single game. Michael Jordan passing the ball, Steve Kerr knocking down the shot, Kyrie Irving with the Cavaliers and LeBron knocking down the shot. Like, you know, it's not always going to be the 23-year-old rising to the occasion, and he did have a huge impact. I think there needs to be some. On one side, it's interesting because Ant has matured where he can miss like 11 shots and still take them, and it's not like he was forcing them. There wasn't like a feeling of where he was like, oh my God, I got to hit a shot. What am I doing? The shots were just not falling. They were still pretty good shots, but I think it is kind of a balance of trying to figure out, like, okay, my shot's not falling right now. I still have to keep shooting it. I can't abandon it, but also I got to get some easier buckets. I do got to work the mid range. I can drive, down the lane with ease, get to the rim. Even if I miss, even if it's a tough contested layup, Rudy Gobert has been just scooping everything up. It's still a net positive. And I think those are the aspects that an Ant will continue to grow, evolve, and mature in that regard. But that just takes time. I mean, he is obviously, he's not a budding superstar. He is a superstar. Ant is him. He's just a young him right now. We've talked about that a lot. Like, it takes time. It takes these guys to be 26, 27, 28 to really, really be capital H-I-M him, right? And he's capital H-I-M right now, which is totally fair, totally fair. But this was a team win. You're watching the Timberwolves play this series, and it's just, you're like, this is the best team in the NBA right now. Like, that's how they were playing. I'm not making any predictions or statements about who's the best team right now, like, because I don't care about that, honestly. In the playoffs, I just want to watch these games. They're fun, they're exciting, they're awesome, the back and forth. But when you watch a game, when you watch all the playoff games, and it's tough because OKC played, pretty much no one, so it's like a little bit harder. Same thing with the Cavaliers, same thing with the Celtics and stuff. But when you watch the Minnesota Timberwolves and you see how they play, they probably played to a degree the best team that a great team can play, relatively speaking. Again, it's kind of hard. And you just saw Minnesota do everything right in all of the moments. Like, even some of the wins that were convincing, like, I think game 4 they won by 12, or game 3, I forget exactly what it was. I think maybe game 3 they won by 12. Like, even some of the games where they pulled away, even a game like this, there was a tremendous amount of back and forth. Like, all of those games, except for maybe one, really technically hung in the balance. Like, the Minnesota Timberwolves could have lost this series. Make no mistake about it. But they didn't, because of their high-level play, because of their high-level execution, because of someone like Rudy Gobert in this game stepping up and being a monster. If you had no idea who Rudy Gobert was, and that was the first game you ever watched, you would say, that's a top 5 player in the NBA. That is one of the best players I've ever seen. I mean, like, Rudy Gobert was that aggression, that assertiveness, that's always what frustrates me with some of these bigger guys, these bigger, stronger, or just taller guys, because, like, I got that aggressive. I got that assertiveness. I'm not, 7 feet tall. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, you should be this way all the time. You watch that, and Rudy Gobert should be 30 and 20, like, every single game. But they're just not. I mean, historically, we know that with a lot of these big, strong guys. Like, they become big and strong, but they're just not always as aggressive. The smaller guy, like Ant, half the size, is just, like, ferocious. If you put Ant's mentality into, like, Rudy Gobert, oh my God, it's just like, it's game over. But, and that's what makes this team kind of bounce, though, then. You have the balance. This team can go the distance if Rudy Gobert can stay aggressive and engaged. I really believe that. It's going to be harder to win games the deeper you go in, having Ant go, like, 0 for 11 and have some of these 19-point games. When that does happen, you do need Naz Reid going off for, like, 4 threes in the corner or something, right? You do need that. You do need Julius Randle having a 30-point game. It's going to get harder. But I look at this game, and if it ends up being the Rockets or the Warriors, quite frankly, I'm like, how are the Minnesota Timberwolves not going to be favored? Like, it would be fascinating to see the Warriors go up against the Timberwolves. I think it would be a fascinating series because they obviously have the speed and strength. Minnesota has, like, the speed and strength and size. The Warriors have the incredibly high level of experience and shooting. So I think that would be a fascinating matchup to watch unfold, especially in the playoffs. But, like, you would have to, and I've been praising the Warriors nonstop and Steph and all that, but it's just like going into that series, like, honestly, if the Warriors win, it would be like the series, like, it would be a massive accomplishment. It would be like, I would be like, that's one of the greatest feats. And I understand people don't see it that way because the Minnesota Timberwolves, like, it's not the Lakers, it's not the Knicks, the Celtics, the Warriors, like, the name up in lights and all that. Like, people see Minnesota still as kind of just like, it's the Timberwolves. Like, who are they? And yeah, he's pretty good, but, like, he's not great. He's not LeBron. He's not Luka, which, again, I disagree. And so, like, they the Minnesota Timberwolves are kind of like a little brother, team in the NBA. Like, again, did we sleep on the Minnesota? Like, that is the question. And when you watch them play, you're like, how could anyone sleep on this team? So it's going to be fascinating to see how they continue throughout the playoffs. Part of me So I want to see the Warriors continue to play, and so I want to see the Warriors versus the Timberwolves. But the other part of me is like, silver lining for that, watching the Minnesota Timberwolves just son and little brother the Rockets and put people like Thompson and Dylan Brooks in their place and Van Vliet, and have an Ant show like what a real dog is, not these little fake little, little pocket dogs, lap dogs. Like I would be fired up for that big time. I would be fired up for that big time. That would be a physical, ugly, brutal game. Would be really fun to watch. I think the Warriors versus the Timberwolves has the better high quality of basketball to watch. And again, I'm a fan outside looking in. I'm not a Timberwolves fan. I'm not any fan. Like, I'm just, trying to look at all this as unbiased as I possibly can. And so I also oftentimes in basketball try to think like, what's the best product? What's the most entertaining for me to watch? And either way, it should be box office. But I mean, nobody should be sleeping on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think it was a combination between sleeping on the Timberwolves as well as overvaluing who the Lakers are. And that's how you get Minnesota Timberwolves in 5, as Ant so perfectly stated. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Timberwolves? How do you feel after this series? What do you think what do you think the chances of them going on a serious run? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.